Hey there, everybody. Welcome to a new Blacklist discussion. And here we are really tackling one of the big burning questions about that Blacklist itself.
Who's number two on the blacklist? This is a question that we got from one of our commenters, Cesare Borgia. If you have not seen the Borgias, it is an amazing show. You got to check that out too. It's not airing anymore, but go back and take a look at it. It's really good.
It's just such a fancy name to say, too.
Cesare Borgia.
Yeah, it's like, bust out your monocles, everybody. I just carry them around with me all the time. My monocles are on my face. But we are going to talk a lot about about the nature of the Blacklist itself. We have names for you guys. We have theories for you guys. Strap in, prepare yourselves accordingly.
Okay, so before we get into who our ideas are of who is number two on the blacklist, we're going to talk a little bit about the blacklist itself, because it has felt like ever since Reddington said that Liz was number one on the blacklist, that there just feels like there's no rhyme or reason to the blacklist except for that it's whenever someone is at the top of the threat list for Reddington, now they become higher and higher, because he also made a fake Katarina, who he knew was a fake, number three on the blacklist. So I've long felt that this list is kind of fluid, and these sort of moments of Liz number one, a fake Katarina number three is just kind of like, okay, you're just kind of picking when you need to put some people on the list. Because I don't believe that when Reddington, came into that, the FBI was like, arrest me, Liz was number one on the list at that point. She wasn't.
No, I think he thought of Liz as some sort of ally, and I think this is where the idea of the list itself, it can get really frustrating, because you try to play around with a lot of the different, I don't know if semantics is the right word, but just the various different rules that exist with this.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that the list doesn't matter, because it does. Just because it's fluid and it can change with where Reddington is in his life or where he is with his project, the 30-year project, that's okay. We're all tuning in for Reddington's list. Yeah. So if that's the way his list works, that's okay.
And here's a fun thing to just think about, have this in the back of your brains as we go into a lot of these people. It's just that if we kind of talk about the fluidity of this list, whoever is quote-unquote number two right now, they may have been number one before Reddington decided to bump Liz up to that position, so they're obviously pretty darn important to the mythology of this show.
Okay, before we get into who we think is number two on the blacklist, subscribe to the channel. We've got discussions every Tuesday morning, every Friday morning. When the show comes back, we'll be here on Thursday evenings after the show airs. And, we're here to help guide you through all of these theories.
I really hope it starts filming soon. I know it's supposedly, I think Amir said next month it's starting. It's just can it start tomorrow? I wouldn't be upset with that.
Also, be sure to follow us over on Instagram, which is Matt and Jess TV. We have lots of fun pictures over there of our dog, our cat, all kinds of fun stuff.
Okay, so now we got to get into these names now. We have waited long enough.
All right, so who is number two on the blacklist? For me, I think that it's really one of two people. I think it's either the real Katarina, if there is another person that's Katarina and it's not actually Reddington, or I think it's Reddington himself, because he has said he's an imposter. We've seen or heard that the real Reddington is dead and there's the bones, but DNA can be faked.
Yeah.
Is it possible that the real Raymond Reddington is going to come back on the scene? That would be a huge threat to imposter Reddington.
Both of these are highly plausible in a number of different ways. I want to start by talking about the Katarina one, because we are about to climb into just a web of messiness. So prepare yourselves accordingly, everyone.
Buckle up, we're hitting the curb.
Okay, so you had specified already that this Katarina who we met, who wasn't really Katarina, was number three.
Yeah.
And obviously Reddington knew that full time that that was not the real Katerina. So with that in mind, as he's presenting this person as Katerina Rostova, though ironically he didn't even present her as Katerina Rostova for a while, it was just the woman in Paris. So really, we circle back to Tatiana was apparently number 3, and that's who Reddington knew was number 3 that whole time.
Yeah.
So if Katerina is still then out there, it would make sense why Tatiana would be so high, because she would clearly be a threat because he knows it's not the real Katerina, and that's dangerous. But the real Katerina would obviously be way more dangerous because she's actually still out there.
Absolutely. She would be very dangerous to Raymond if she and he are not the same person. Yeah. This theory only works for number 2 if Katerina is someone else and she is still out there, which is something that we've also talked about, of the idea for season 9 that maybe Katerina could be brought in as a new female lead or a new foil for Raymond going on, and that would put her number 2.
And I think a really, really important thing that we all have to remember here is that, this is a list of people who are the most threatening to Reddington, but it's not always, this is the person who's killed the most people. This is the person who's got like 800 different black belts. It's who is the most threatening to Raymond in terms of breaking down his vulnerability. This is why Liz was number 1, and this is why it would make sense that the real Katerina, somebody who he supposedly, if this is not Katerina, that he has supposedly done everything for, obviously you'd be vulnerable to them.
Yeah, and that's the same with the real Raymond Reddington. If he is still out there, that would be someone who would really be a problem for Imposter Red.
I can't even fathom the real Raymond Reddington thing, because it's just like, it would be a real threat. It's like, how do you guys sell this? And I'm someone who still wants to believe that either this is the real Reddington or that he could still be out there. You guys got some splaining to do if you go down that road.
Could you imagine, though, the scene with our Raymond and the real Raymond? It's like that Spider-Man meme of the two Spider-Mans pointing at each other.
I was also just thinking, if this is the real Raymond underneath this Raymond, could we have like a Scooby-Doo unmasking situation where he takes off the mask and it's the same exact person?
And it's still James Spader.
Okay, so I will now that we've referenced both Spider-Man and Scooby-Doo in 5 seconds, the couple of the theories that I've danced around a little bit in my head here. Number 1, and this is like this one to me is the one I went with for a lot of last season, was that, okay, it's obviously Neville Townsend. But if it's Neville Townsend, why didn't they just number him like last season? Like, what was the point in all of this? And Neville's seemingly dead, and unless he's not dead, what are you going to just suddenly give us an episode in season 9 that's going to be numbering a character who's already been killed?
I really hope not. Like, the only way that I'd be okay with Neville being number 2 is if he's still alive. I'm not interested in going into this new era of the Blacklist where we're still holding on to Neville even though he's already dead, and everything that had to do with Neville is kind of tied up. I mean, his whole thing is he wanted Raymond to watch Liz die, and he did. And now, then what is left? Like, really, what is left?
Maybe the premiere is going to be titled Neville Townsend. The entire episode is going to be Reddington staring at a picture of Neville Townsend on the wall, just like shaking his fist at him. Like, it sounds ridiculous, but it is like a manifestation of, I don't know how they can make that impactful when the character's already gone and all the chaos has already been inflicted.
But if he's not gone, number 2, that one I would be all right with, and that would make a lot of sense because Van Dyke is the person who ended up shooting Liz and killing Liz. So if Neville Townsend is still out there, that would have been done because of Neville. So Neville would obviously be someone that Reddington would want revenge on. Revenge.
That's okay. Revenge. Okay. The other name. This is going to be the totally, I'm visiting cop-out city with this one. Okay. It is someone we have not met yet. It is the season 9 ambiguous big bad who is going to come out of nowhere, and I don't know if this is they weren't always number 2, but we're making them number 2 now sort of situation. I don't know if this Reddington forgot to tell us about this person previously.
I don't like this. Give this video a thumbs up if you also don't like this idea.
I like that you found a way to not include any thumbs down and all that. Just like, give us a thumbs up if this idea is terrible.
Thumbs up. No, don't thumbs down this video.
No. See, I don't really love this idea either, but I also am trying to just grasp it. Okay, what is something they could theoretically do? Because unless they're just like going to forget about the whole idea of numbering people just in perpetuity now, it's like you gotta do this. This is like the most important thing you have left. And if this is a new character we have not known about, there better be a bleeping good reason why we haven't heard about them on the, like, Reddington would have been like, must have been threatened that you can never mention this person's name. They're like Voldemort. Like, it has to be something that secretive.
Number 2 has to mean something. Like, it really has to mean something. Even if this list really is fluid, where it's whoever's the biggest threat to him at that time gets a high number.
Yeah.
Because there's been a couple people that have been high up in the list here who I'm kind of like, and we've never heard of them again. It's just kind of like, okay. Number 2 can't be that. Number 2 has to hold weight.
Yeah. Like, don't give us the repeat of, I think his name was like Robert Vesco or something, who was like Reddington's mid. He was in like the top 10. He had like 1 episode.
Yeah. No.
Guys.
Thumbs up the video. No, I'm kidding. I'm done with that joke. It was just a joke.
We're sticking with it. Okay, all right. Well, those are some of our theories on a lot of this, but as you guys could probably tell, we have a lot of fun talking about Blacklist numbers. Even if John Eisendrath may be off somewhere, just being like throwing all of this in a garbage pail and just like laughing maniacally at us. But
that is fine.
You know what? We don't care. We had fun. Maybe the real Blacklist numbers are the friends we made along the way.
Oh, Matt.
I'm sorry, I had to do it. It was right there. Okay, let us know your theories for number 2 in the comments, and subscribe to the channel, give this video a like. Thank you, guys. You don't have to just like it because you disagree. You can just like it for the sake of liking it. Like, that's cool too.
Thanks for all being here and on the joke with us.
We'll see you here next time.